What's up, everybody? It's Hagen with Big Daddy Leads, bringing you another episode of Big Daddy Lessons. Today, we're going to focus on KPIs, key performance indicators. Now, I was under the impression that everybody tracked their KPIs and everybody knew what KPIs were, but the more and more sales calls we've been getting on with these insurance agents, the more we realize that that is not the case. So that's what today's video is going to be. These are the very basics of KPIs. This is by no means a conclusive list. There's a lot of important metrics that you have to track as a business owner and as you scale your business. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to talk about the ones that you see on this whiteboard today. So what we're going to do, we're just going to define each KPI, give an example, and then we're going to also talk about some practical implications and how these KPIs can help you make better informed decisions in your business as a business owner. The first one, we have dials/outreach. So it doesn't matter if you're picking up the phone and calling or sending SMS text messages. If you're outbound prospecting a prospective client, that's outreach. Second one is contact percentage. So of the people that you outreached, how many people responded to you? So to keep this simple, let's just say how many people picked up the phone out of the dials that you made. So number of pickups divided by number of dials is your contact rate. Presentation rate. Of those people that responded to you and picked up the phone, how many led to a presentation or you were able to show numbers to? Or as we like to call it in the high ticket space, you drop price on them. Number of presentations divided by number of contacts. So let's say you made 100 dials, 10 people picked up, that would be a 10% contact rate. Of those 10 people that picked up, you were able to show numbers to 5 people. That would be a 50% presentation rate. Close rate is of those people that you showed numbers to, how many converted into a sale. Now, this metric is different from conversion rate, which is of the leads that you have in your pipeline, how many converted into a sale. So let's say you had 100 leads and 5 converted into a sale. That's a 5% conversion rate. That is not a 5% close rate because that does not take into consideration how many dials out of those 100 leads you had to make, how many people actually picked up out of those dials, how many of those led to a presentation, and of those presentations, how many led to a close. So it's very, very important to differentiate between those two different metrics. Close rate is of the presentations that you had, the number of people you're able to show numbers to, how many of those people converted into a close. So if you had 5 presentations and you closed 3, you have a 60% close rate. Application to close rate. This is an insurance-specific KPI. This is basically of the people that you started an application with, how many ended up being a sale. Because a lot of times, whether it's because the client couldn't sign or the client got medically declined, you started an application, but you weren't actually able to seal the deal completely. Now, if you're getting a significantly high number of applications, like let's say 10 applications, out of 10 applications, only 3 or 4 close, well, it may be a problem with your product knowledge and medical underwriting because you keep submitting applications where the client is getting medically declined. Right? Those are just some examples. Submitted AP, we all know what that is. Issue paid AP, we all know what that is. Deposits commission, arguably the most important number, what actually gets deposited into your bank account. Now, the last part here, marketing. Notice how I only put lead spend in parentheses because if you guys see my other videos, I want you guys to start acting like the business owner that you are. So instead of just buying leads, start thinking about what you're doing with your marketing department. How are you bringing good qualified prospects through the door that you can show numbers to and close? Your marketing costs are the costs associated to getting in front of good quality prospects, whether that's buying lead packs from lead vendors or self-generating your own leads through Facebook ads, like a lot of our clients here at BDL do. Now, if your deposits or your commissions are extremely high, which is a good thing, but so are your marketing costs where you're not really taking home any net profit, well then that is definitely a marketing issue that we need to solve. And this is actually the biggest problem that we see here at BDL when we're talking to insurance agents is that their deposits and commissions are extremely high, their issue paid is extremely high, submitted is extremely high, Close rate is extremely high, but the problem is that there's a low presentation and there's a low contact rate. What that tells me is that there's a problem with the marketing. Other examples of where we can use these numbers to make better informed decisions. If your contact rate is extremely high, as it is with most of our BDL clients, but your presentation rate is very, very low, well then what that tells me is that maybe there's something that you need to work in the front end of your sales process where you're able to get people on the phone, but you can't keep them on the phone and build up enough value to lead them into a presentation, show numbers to, and close. Now, if your presentation rate is extremely high, but your close rate is extremely low, what that tells me is maybe there's something wrong with the back end of the sales process where you're doing a good job getting them on the phone and keeping them on the phone and showing them numbers, but for some reason you can't seal the deal. So maybe we need to work on objection handling, or maybe we need to work on the overall sales process throughout the middle of the call, build more value, building the why better. So these are just some examples of how you guys can make better informed decisions as a business owner instead of making emotional decisions, or I feel like my leads aren't picking up. I feel like these leads are bad, or I feel like I'm not able to get people to stay on the phone. Instead of saying, I feel like, look at your KPIs and make a better informed decision. And I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. If you guys can solve one of the biggest problems there is being an insurance agent, which is the marketing issue, getting in front of good quality leads, good quality prospects to talk to, you will automatically fix your contact rate, presentation rate, and close rate. To be honest, you wouldn't even need a super high close rate and you'd be able to close more deals. So if that's something you're interested in taking advantage of, comment down below and give us a follow at Big Daddy Leads.